Erling Haaland doesn't score, Manchester City don't win. Very basic, rudimentary analysis there. Now, unfortunately, those are the facts. That's what we have to deal with. Because not only do we not win, we lose. And we don't even score. Haaland has failed to score in 2 games this season. In both of those games, we have lost without scoring ourselves. That is a problem. Okay, now it's not like we didn't create a chance for him yesterday, because Bernardo Silva sent him through on goal in a one-on-one situation. But what are we going to do? We're going to turn on Erling Haaland now for missing a one-on-one? Absolutely not. Don't be ridiculous. He's the reason we considered ourselves in a title race as of yesterday, before the game at least. Some of us are still writing us off. Not too sure about that. Wait and see in that one. But, I mean, we can't be turning on Erling Haaland. We've got to look at the rest of the team and say, why are you not delivering? Why are you not scoring? Why are we having 18 shots on goal with only 4 hitting the target? Why is that happening? Why are we so wasteful? Why are we not creating in that game yesterday? You know, we can look at Pep Guardiola as well, and I think he did make a mistake. Pep got it wrong yesterday. The midfield, in particular, the selection at the beginning of the game, there's an element of it that made sense. There's areas of the pitch where Pep selected individuals that made sense. And with hindsight, we are all now applying this wonderful ability of hindsight that we all have, where we can go, well, he did that wrong and he did that wrong. And it turns out, yeah, he did get it wrong. There is elements that he got wrong. There is areas of the pitch that became wrong in midfield in particular, because we went 1-0 down as well. Very, very problematic. Manchester City have caused an issue here which is solvable, because there are players there that can, we've seen them score goals before. We know they can. Namely, Phil Foden is one of the biggest output deliverers in GNA in particular. We've seen him do it. We need to see him do it more. I think Reijnders is capable of a goal, but what is his shooting become? You know? I thought he was brilliant at AC Milan. We saw what he could do against Wolves at the first game of the season. But now, his finishing is woeful. Absolutely woeful. He can't even connect with the ball. We've never seen Savinho do it. We're going to get onto him as well. But his selection made sense, because he played brilliantly against Villarreal. Well, we've got no consistency anymore in our wingers. We can't trust them anymore. We had a brilliant spell, the best spell, and that's the great news, was Doku actually delivered in about 4 or 5 games in a row. Maybe more if you include his international form for Belgium, where he's playing brilliantly during the international break as well. Jeremy Doku was delivering. He has 2 bad games and he's dropped. There's an element of that I understand. But the problem with that is the next player that comes in then must hit the ground running. They've got to immediately deliver. And Oscar Bobb comes in cold and he delivers a cold performance. But you can't excuse Savinho having 1 good game and then dropping an absolute stinker. He's getting a lot of minutes right now. And we can't keep protecting potential when there are other areas of the pitch that are not getting the minutes. Like of Cherki, for example, who is potential, just like Savinho is potential, yet one of them gets a hell of a lot of minutes and the other one isn't getting any game time right now. And it's a case of, well, I think we should be giving them one of the pick one and give them 5 games in a row and let's see what they can do. Let's protect them for 5 games, see what they can do. I think he's had that chance, Savinho. He's had his chance. It's someone else's go now, and I still believe in him, and I still believe in the team as on the whole. This isn't writing off the season. This isn't individual, like lambasting one player like Savinho. No, because I think he could be a superstar for City one day. I genuinely see ability. People liking him to Mahrez. Mahrez joined when he was 27 years old. He was a Premier League winner and a PFA Player of the Year when he signed for Manchester City. We're talking about a 21-year-old kid here who's joined from another country, so let's give him some time. He needs some patience, but yes, he's getting a lot of minutes, and undeservingly so right now at Manchester City. Very frustrating for me. Let's have a look at the player ratings and the stats first, because it was a very, very even game, as you can see. I mean, possession-wise, we didn't control the game. 3% more than Aston Villa did. XG, not a million miles apart. The shots are a million miles apart in terms of the total number of them, at least. And we only had 1 more on target, though, compared to Villa. Not good enough in front of goal. Just not good enough. Donnarumma. I saw people having a go at him. I mean, some people, man, they get this fixated obsession about, I said something once, so I've got to stick to my guns and make sure I can, at one point in the season, go, I told you so. I told you so. Well, jumping the gun as well and humiliating yourself even more by saying Donnarumma is to be blamed for their goal. There's absolutely nothing Donnarumma. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe the chat yesterday. Reading the chat, like, Donnarumma, what's he doing? Donnarumma, like, what? because he's conceded a goal. I mean, fuck it, this is what we're doing now. I saw people having a proper go at Haaland yesterday for missing that one. Yeah, it wasn't a great finish. He probably should have done better with it, and he telegraphed what he was going to do. But we can't have a go at Haaland, and we can't have a go at Donnarumma, because those two, this season, are credit in the bank, as far as I'm concerned. Those two are entitled to having a bad day at the office, and Donnarumma didn't. He didn't have a bad day in the office. Not whatsoever. Pulled off a great double save versus Jadon Sancho in that second half, and I think his distribution, actually, this season has been quietly very simple. He's not trying anything out of the ordinary, Donnarumma. I think he's keeping it basic. He's not doing the Edison balls. Fine, because you can't do it. Play to your strengths, and Donnarumma is doing exactly that. And I would argue his distribution has been very good. It's been very good, and there's some people that said he can't pass a ball in the transfer window when we signed him, writing him off entirely. He has silenced a lot of people, has Donnarumma. This game, though, 6.5 for Donnarumma. Dias, I felt like he was one of our best performers yesterday, and the numbers have absolutely backed me up. Look at these numbers. They're unreal. The unreal numbers. Like essential blocks and clearances as well. Man of the match performance for Ruben Dias. He was my most criticised player this season for me. Me personally, I have killed him on occasions this season. Earlier into the season, the first 5 games of the season, I was nailing him to the wall for some of his performances. So if he can turn it around, so can anyone else in this side, because he has had about 4 games in a row where he's absolutely brilliant. 4 games in a row. So if I can change my opinion, you are more than welcome to change yours as well. You don't have to stick to your guns just because you want to be, once upon a time you said something that you might think, oh, I was right then. No. We support the team. It's not about you being right. It's about the team fucking winning. Do you know what I mean? And Ruben Dias has been brilliant lately. Brilliant, And I was nailing him earlier this season. Absolutely nailing him. 8 out of 10. Ruben Dias. Stones. I get why Stones was played in midfield, but systematically, it just didn't work. It just didn't work at all. The physicality is one point, I think, why he was picked, but it just wasn't needed in the end. Because Onana and Kamara, as a result of going 1-0 down, dropped incredibly deep. So have a look at this. This is John Stones' heat map, and you can see how far forward he gets. On occasions, he was getting further forward than Tijani Reijnders, which is as a result of going 1-0 down. Tijani Reijnders has actually got a little bit more sitting because he was more in the defensive midfield role than John Stones. Yet John Stones seems to have this 8/centre-back role, where he wasn't even pushing into defensive midfield. He was pushing beyond that out of centre-back, going further forward than Tijani Reijnders. And that's a result for me of going 1-0 down. And I don't think John Stones or Pep was... Well, obviously, we didn't want to go 1-0 down. And as a result of that, for me, I would rather see Kovacic in that pocket, wouldn't you? Because we were getting into a situation where we were depending on John Stones to create. And that's not his game. He's not a bad player on the ball by any stretch of the imagination, but he should be sitting, not going forward and creating. And if you want someone to do that, for me, Kovacic should have come on much, much earlier and didn't come on at all for me. So, again, that was a circumstantial situation. 6 out of 10 for John Stones. Josko, one of everything. Looking at those numbers, didn't fill me with confidence playing at left back though. He looked a little bit shaky. Spent most of the game left side of a back 3 when Stones was pushing forward. There's not a whole lot to actually criticise from anyone really in the back 4, defensively at least, because there wasn't actually that much defending to do throughout the game. We did seem to... There was occasions that we were required to defend, and when we did all right. The goal we conceded was from a well-worked set piece. A little bit fortunate, because I'm not sure the pass was actually intended for Matty Cash. But other than that, I don't think defensively we were that bad, really. It was more midfield and forward, going forward and creating. We just nullified us completely, Villa did. But yeah, Josko wasn't his usual commanding self, so I've given him a 6. Nunes. My confidence is still very much growing in Matheus Nunes. Didn't exactly spike with confidence yesterday, but it certainly did not get any lower than it was before the Aston Villa game yesterday. So I still have a lot of confidence in Matheus Nunes. He has shown massive signs of improvement in recent weeks. Really impressed. And he's got the second best numbers in the back 4, actually. He had that little slip as well. That could have caused us some problems there, but he slips once per game, does Matheus Nunes. I keep saying it, the guy needs new boots, new boot manufacturer, man, because he slips every game. I can't really have a go at him for slipping. You can't really help it. It's just unfortunate. But still, yeah, felt like we're getting okay. We're getting by with Matheus Nunes at right back, 6.5. Nico O'Reilly, he came on for half an hour and he had some big opportunities to create, not to score, opportunities to create. He kept finding this inside left pocket, whether it was from Doku or from Foden. He kept finding it, and he was either dilly-dallying on the ball or just giving it away. Really frustrating impact from Nico O'Reilly, and he's had a brilliant season. Such a good season for Nico O'Reilly so far. But this little cameo, he was cold. He was coming in cold, and you could tell he just couldn't get up to the speed of the game, and he just had very little impact, unfortunately, and he had opportunities to do that. 5.5 for Nico O'Reilly. Nico G, the second of 3 substitutes that came on the half an hour mark. I just loved his attitude. For me, he's getting an extra 0.5 for that thumbs up that he gave to the medical team with his nose fucking hanging off his face. Do you know what I mean? I'm all right, guys. I'm all right. Yeah, fucking warrior, mate. I love that. Absolutely love it, man. This guy is so unlucky with injuries, though. Like, every time he walks onto a pitch with a City shirt on, he's getting smashed. He actually smashed Luca Digne as well. Love that. Love that tackle. Absolutely nailed him. Clean, winning the ball, upending Luca Digne. Brilliant tackle. Love that. We need more. We need more of that, because I tell you what, if we started the game with him in midfield, I'm more convinced that we'd have had a more solidified midfield, and maybe something would have been different yesterday. But again, hindsight, 6.5 for Nico G. Bernardo Silva, he was on his way to getting a man of the match performance for that first half performance, but his second half he did vanish, unfortunately. He did create the best chance of the game for City, sending through Haaland. He cut one back for Haaland as well earlier than that in the game, where he did a nice little jinking run into the box and then he cuts it back. Haaland caught on his heels, an unusual off day in terms of his timing of his runs for Erling Haaland in this game. And he was actually, Bernardo Silva, our biggest threat, I felt like, in our first half. But like I said, he completely vanished in the second half, and he came off on the hour mark. So 6.5 for Bernardo Silva. Reijnders, I've been going on about his ground jewels all season. Look at that again. Look at it again. I actually suggest dropping him deeper. I suggested it because he's a big guy, and I feel like he could be a physical presence because he's big, and he's not massive, but he's not small. He should be more physical, but that is unacceptable amount of ground jewels. 0 out of 7. He's become very droppable in recent weeks. And I really believe there's an unbelievable player there. I think there's such a talent there because, again, we have seen it when he played against Wolves. And how long ago does that seem, though, now? We've had a lot of games since then, and he has just not hit the heights of that game in particular, or getting anywhere near to that as well. Very disappointing performance. He needs to up it. He was actually bragging at the beginning of the season, wasn't he, to Johnny Reijnders about never getting injured. No wonder. If you're not going to get stuck into your ground jewels, no wonder you don't get injured. Do you know what I mean? He needs to sort that out. I want a better attitude than that. I really do. But like I said, I still see a lot of work from him is needed, but I still see so much quality at the same time. But yeah, and it's finishing for me as well. He's got to work on that big time. The amount of times he smashed it over the bar. He had that brilliant run, by the way. There was a run that he did, smashing his way through the middle, and his shot was just tame, and it just rolled away. Very, very easy to deal with. 5.5 for Johnny Reijnders. Foden, I thought he had an uneventful, lacklustre first half, struggled to link up with his teammates in the first half, but he really grew into the game in the second half, I felt, Phil Foden. I felt like he started to pull some strings. 7 key passes, in fact, is really, really good. I feel like Foden produced this. If he produced that same second half performance in the first half, we may not have gone 1-0 down. And there was that spell in the first 10-15 minutes of the game before Villa scored where we looked the better side. We looked sound. We looked perfectly fine, and we looked controlled, and we were going to go 1-0 up at some point here because we were creating opportunities and getting into the box, and I felt like it broke down with Foden a lot in those early moments. But then Foden started to pull strings in the second half, but at that point we're 1-0 down, and it's a bit too late at that point because Villa have just completely packed the defence, and Onana was getting back and clearing all sorts of crosses. Very, very difficult to break down that Villa side after that. So disappointed really from Foden, but he still gets a 6.5 for the overall game. Doku, he's getting a 6.5 too, but only from half an hour of football we're talking about there. So it's good to see him come on and have the impact. He was a bright spark when he came on. We looked so much more dangerous when he was on the pitch as well. He kept fizzing those passes into the box, and every City player was like caught on their heels. Even Haaland, Nico O'Reilly, A couple of other players on occasions where Doku's balls into the box were just good. One brilliant cross as well, but it was just cleared by Villa as well. Very, very frustrating. And this was following 2 bang average performances against Everton and against Villarreal from Jeremy Doku. But then he comes in for a substitute appearance and plays brilliant and looks like the sort of performance where you go, we should have started him. We've got no winger consistency, have we? We've got no wingers who you can just hang your hat on and go, he's a safe bet. He's got to start. Doku was up there, and then he had 2 games. For me, I think we should be sticking with Doku now. I think we should let him have a bad game, but stick with him the next game. I really think that. I do think Doku, he's been the most threatening over the course of the whole season, on average, from start to finish, from this point to the beginning of the season. Jeremy Doku has been our best winger. He's had a couple of bad games, but that doesn't mean you fucking throw him under the bus anymore and put him on the bench. I think we should stick with him, especially if we're going to stick with Savinho. For what? For what reason right now is Savinho proving his worth on the pitch? Speaking of Savinho, I want to keep defending him. I want to. And I've been trying to so much on this channel, man. But, can someone tell me what he did in this game that is worthy of me defending him? Give me an example of a moment where we can go, well, that was good. What? What was he doing in the game yesterday that was like, you deserve to be on the pitch? Oscar Bobb deserves to be substituted before you. Why? Why? Why did he? I don't understand this insisting of playing Savinho as much as he has played right now. For me, he deserves benching, and to get a new contract, there's got to be a hell of a lot of faith in him, which is good. I think there is signs. We've seen it. The Villarreal performance so recently was so good. So I get why he started, but to keep him on, for one thing, was a frustrating aspect, and bringing Bobb off earlier when I think Bobb was not much better, but certainly wasn't worse. Definitely not. So young, potential. I just think Cherky is also the same level of potential, maybe more, and he should be getting minutes now ahead of Savinho. I feel like we're rolling the dice every time we start him. Like, what are we going to get? What are we going to get? It's a gamble every time you start Savinho at the minute. And I'd like to see Cherky get the same love that Savinho's getting now from Pep. 5 out of 10 for Savinho. Bobb, like I said, wasn't doing any worse than Savinho on the opposite side of the pitch. A touch livelier, maybe. Marginal differences. But he doesn't get anywhere near the level of trust that Savinho gets. And he certainly didn't deserve to be hooked off on the hour mark while Savinho stays on for 84 minutes. I think we just need to commit to a winger now at this point. And Bobb, for me, I don't know. For me, I would go with Doku and Cherky at this moment. Just give Doku 5 games in a row, Cherky 5 games in a row. Let's see how those two, either side of Haaland, can create for him. That's, for me, what we should be doing going forward. 5.5 for Bobby. Haaland felt like sort of a break-even sort of performance, and a performance that wasn't great. He went through on goal once, telegraphed what he was going to do, opened up his body, made it very clear to Emi Martinez that I'm going to try and find that bottom corner, his trademark finish, but he just made it, he pulled the trigger too early, and he shaped his body too early in that move. But like I said, who am I to tell Erling Haaland how to finish? He had the one chance, really, in that game that was at least clear-cut. We've got to start supplying him better than that, and we need to start scoring goals from players outside of Erling Haaland. You know what I mean? We can't resort back to he needs to do more for the team. He needs to do more. And getting out, how many times the touch maps? How many times did he touch the ball? All that bollocks coming out again because he didn't score. This is Haaland. He does exactly what he says on the tin. You supply him, he'll score goals, and you supply him enough, he will score goals. If he has a game where he misses from one opportunity, that is going to happen, unfortunately. And in those games, you need your other players to up theirs and step up to the plate and put one in the back of the net in Haaland's absence. That's what needs to happen for me. And we can't have a go at Haaland for not turning up in this game, for me. And I thought he came back and cleared some corners as well, so that gave him... He nearly got a 5.5, Haaland, but I'm giving him a 6 because of how many times he came back and cleared from corners from Aston Villa, which is another bit of a game that's been added to this season, which is really, really good. Marmoush gets 5 minutes. Cherky played for 14 minutes. Very little to go off. Marmoush nearly gets himself an assist, actually. And Haaland could have got himself a goal had Marmoush kept himself onside. So we could be talking about a different story and Haaland scoring again. if Marmoush had just stayed onside. There was no need to go that early because the ball was played perfectly. He didn't need to go that early, you know? Frustrating. Really frustrating. Swansea next. Bouncing back from that, for me, is not a game you can consider City have bounced back. It is Bournemouth. That game at home next Sunday. If we beat Bournemouth, who knows what the other results will be, because Bournemouth look a formidable side right now. Thank God we're playing at the Etihad, but still, it is no foregone conclusion that we go and beat Bournemouth just because we're at home. No foregone conclusion. But if we do, that's a big, big game and big 3 points, and that is bouncing back. We have to beat Swansea, because there will be a new narrative if we do not beat Swansea. If we get knocked out by Swansea, then you can get ready for a new narrative. You beat Swansea, no one's going to pat you on the back, because you should be beating Swansea. But you beat Bournemouth, and it starts to look a different story all of a sudden. Blues, let me know your thoughts. Like and subscribe to Typical City, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is Typical City now, holding up silverware.